Hi everyone and welcome. This is a general spiritual guidance brought to you by 1millionnights.com. Instead of our usual channeled messages or pick-a cards, I have chosen to do a general spiritual guidance for the collective for today's free reading. Well, on one hand, because I do think that we have entered a specific time frame where everything is happening so very quickly, but at the same time it is also so very confusing and we may not really know who to trust, what the best course of action can be in these very unusual times, so to say. And also, as you probably know, due to the lack of resources and of course this financial crisis, my work simply cannot continue, so I have 2 weeks left. And if a miracle doesn't happen, well, unfortunately I will have to say goodbye. And that means that I may not have an opportunity in the very close future to offer you this guidance. So basically, I have asked the universe to reveal to me the collective energies and any kind of advice or guidance that might be helpful for us collectively and individually, of course. Now, the overall energy of the reading is the Star reversed, the Nine of Swords reversed, and the Fool. And this is a really mixed energy because, first of all, the Star card is the symbol of our hopes and dreams, especially for the future and the long-term future. So one way or another, most of us are seeking some kind of stability, groundedness, or the chance, the opportunity to work towards the greater good in our futures. This is what we're planning, this is what we're fighting for, this is what we are focusing on and concentrating on. And of course, this means different things for different people. For some people, it is their material security, which is the most urgent. For other people, it may be their spiritual or emotional lives. For other people, it may be their health and their physical bodies, or it can be their everyday routines. While for other people, it is their love lives. They might be seeking someone, a perfect partner, to give meaning, a greater and deeper meaning to their futures. But either way, the star is the symbol of big dreams and big hopes. So it is not just wishful thinking, optimism, positive thoughts. It is actually being focused very intensely on things which matter to us very much in the present moment. And for most of us, these are also things that we always wanted to accomplish in all of our lives. Which is not a big surprise because this is, after all, the big Aquarian energy. The star card in itself is the astrological correspondent of Aquarius, where we have Saturn, Jupiter, and now the Sun and Mercury. Very soon we're also going to have Venus. So that is a lot of planets in just one sign. That is a lot of activity, a lot of energy, and a lot of focus on that area of life, which is our futures, basically. Now, the star card is reversed because, on one hand, we kind of know how important our breakthrough is for all of us in the present moment, and this is perfectly true collectively as well, where the breakthrough can simply mean a solution or some kind of possibility to basically live our lives not in the old normality, but anything goes in the present moment. The only thing unacceptable is for things to stay the same way, stagnating, being blocked in basically every area of life. That is not a possibility, yet still the star is reversed, so that is exactly what we fear. This is where we don't even fear any kind of catastrophe, instability and chaos anymore. We fear stagnation and not having anything to work with the most. But the main reason why the star card is reversed, as I said earlier, we have a lot of hope in our hearts. So energy-wise, we're actually filled with the power of hope, with the power of creation. And Uranus, the ruling planet of Aquarius, also adds great intensity to all of this because it meets Mars, the planet of action, the energizer in the sky. And besides the obvious chaos that this conversation causes, this can also represent a quantum power where when things are simply aligned, they can very quickly manifest without any warning, spontaneously, instantly. And also in a way which can totally exceed our wildest expectations. So this is the other reason why the star card is reversed, because we do hope, but whatever we hope does not make perfect sense to our logic, to the mind, to our intellectual sphere, because this time around, hope only shines from within us and not actually from without. So that lucky star, which should shower us with the light of hope, with creational energy in external reality, is not there. But it's not really a problem, because the inner star, whatever lives in our hearts and in our heart spaces, is more than enough. So basically the universe is telling us we don't need any lucky star physically to be there right now, because we have absolutely everything that we need inside of us. And even the fact that our minds are full of fears, they are full of insecurities, because it makes perfect sense to fear right now. We don't have any concrete information to work with. Nothing makes sense to us. Nothing is 100% logical. We don't even know what to believe, what to expect. So the mind is in chaos and there's nothing we can do about that. Especially that we have all this heart energy, all this spiritual energy, which is true, authentic, and extremely strong to compensate this. And usually, when we have a lot of fears and insecurities within our mental sphere, so our thoughts are full of that, well, it's not gonna create the best results, because we attract what we fear naturally. But since this time, the spiritual part of this picture is much stronger than the mental one. So basically, we are so very aligned with what we desire, and also with our inner purity, with the inner child, that fool, that this side of the spectrum is much stronger than our confused mental spheres. So the negativity which might source from the mind is actually a good thing, because it gives us the momentum, it gives us the pressure, it gives us this constructive stress, so to speak, in order to reach and attract some kind of breakthrough in our lives, and especially that which is totally outside our mental spheres, as in our expectations. It is basically like under great pressure, coal becomes diamond, and this is exactly what is happening to us right now. The fact that our minds just know that there is no rational option, there is no logical solution right now to the big picture, well, that is actually a blessing, because when there is no humanly rational solution, then the mind has to give way to divine intelligence, and that is where things are gonna get serious. Especially that the energy itself, it is not stagnating, it is rather quite quick, spontaneous, instant. There is actually quite a lot of dynamism and the energy of movement all around us. So this isn't 2020 where we had to stagnate for months over again. This is totally different, totally unusual, totally unique. And as the Six of Swords reverse suggests, well, we may not feel that we are advancing, progressing, moving forward right now, for the simple fact that certain options, certain opportunities, possibilities, the rational link to how we have to get to where we need to be in life, regardless if that is a new job, if that is a contract, if that is a communication, if that is connecting to certain people, well, that part, exactly what we need the most, may not show any signs that it's coming right now. But I repeat, this is just the rational and logical part of things. Because this time around, things are definitely not gonna turn out the logical and rational way. They are going to be surprising, unexpected, and instant. Just as the Fool, the astrological correspondent of Uranus, suggests things are definitely gonna happen at the right time, but it's gonna be so sudden, so instantaneous, that, logic and ration might not be able to anticipate it right now. Now also, the Six of Swords reversed and the Fool speaks about certain things remaining not yet fully closed from last year. So this is also our attempt to totally shift out of 2020 and everything that has happened in our lives and collectively in that year. We just wanna close every single door left open to the past. We wanna shift away from the feeling of 2020. We wanna shift away from the challenges, the obstacles, the stagnation. This doesn't mean that we kind of desire an idealistic lifestyle where our dreams already came into existence 100% and we're just living in a blissful life. This just means that we truly want to start our new beginning and start working our ways up to get where we want to get in life. And since that Fool, the inner child, also symbolizes our creational energy, so new beginning, this is where even the inner child already acts as an inner adult because it wants to work, it wants to do things, it wants to be serious, committed, it believes in itself, it believes in its purpose, it believes also in its worth and everything that a really good and prosperous new beginning involves. And this already suggests that we are, at least from a spiritual and psychological perspective, more than ready to work with this new beginning which is coming. If anything, the big message, the main message of this reading is that, well, it doesn't matter how things seem like, especially from a rational perspective, it is still coming. And the best way to prepare ourselves for this is to expect the unexpected. And even if our thoughts might fill us with fears, with insecurities, or with severe doubts, let's say, well then just think about it this way. The whole COVID situation and the whole trouble that the whole of the world is going through right now, well, most parts of it are so very not rational, so very non-linear. It doesn't make sense from so very many different perspectives, especially to the mental sphere. So basically, if outer reality is not following logic, it is not following the rational pattern, well, that is actually a good sign, because why should our own individual personal lives, our individual destinies, why should those follow it if collectively everything points to the opposite? And this kind of means that, well, it doesn't matter how the appearances are, it doesn't matter right now what makes sense and what doesn't. Things can still turn around a totally different way than we expect, and that is actually the best possible sign for most of us. Because if we expect stagnation and confusion, to be trapped in the same bubble, the same routine, hearing the same bad news from everywhere. Well, anything that can happen contrary to this is a blessing. So this Fool card guarantees us almost that one way or another, either as a surprise, as a moment of synchronicity, as something sudden and unexpected, or as a moment of maximum courage and bravery from our behalves, of course, this new beginning is definitely going to enter our lives one way or another. And also, we are quantumly interconnected to one another. When it happens to one of us, well, it will keep on happening in chains to all of us. So basically, this can also represent to keep our awarenesses wide open, because as soon as we get like a good news from someone who we know who's in the exact same situation as us, and they tell us, look, I got this breakthrough, something good happened, I all of a sudden have options, possibilities, choices, I am going to get my new beginning, well, that means yours is either next or very, very soon. And finally, this reading is closed by the Temperance Reversed and the Six of Cups. Now this represents the conclusion or the resolution, and it's a really, really good sign, I say, because it is almost like a direct personal answer to how our lives are going to be playing out next, especially all throughout this year and the years to come. Well, the Temperance Reversed. This card in reverse position speaks about excess. It speaks about experiencing very deeply, very intensely one side of the spectrum. And in the past 3 years, or even more for some people, we had Saturn in its home sign of Capricorn. So we kind of experienced extreme challenges, extreme obstacles, and all of us went through this really, really powerful psychological purges. All of our inner wounds have been opened in so very many ways, and even salted, as in putting salt in the wound. And we had to confront it, we had to fix it, we had to heal it one way or another, or at least detach from it. So the Temperance in reverse position speaks about that many of us during these 3 or more years hit rock bottom in so very many different ways. So that was our share of experiencing the verse of the verse, our own personal hells, let's say. And what we did with those experiences, well, we alchemized them. We dug as deep as we possibly could, and we gave a totally different meaning, a totally different perspective and way of perceiving our past, everything bad, traumatic, sad, doomy and gloomy that ever happened to us. And we did succeed to remove the programmings, to remove the bindweed by grabbing it from its roots and truly ripping it out once and for all. And even though right now, in the eternal present, let's say, we may not truly feel the external blessings of all of our actions and efforts, and for some people, these were the greatest efforts that they invested into healing themselves in this present lifetime. So this is not an easy work, this is not a walk in the park. This may have been the hardest thing they have ever done, which also means that they have to, one way or another, see the benefits, see this reflect in outer reality, and this is exactly what the Six of Cups suggests. You have to live the opposite of what you have been through. So all those moments of hell, all those moments of maximum despair, depression, anxiety, you name it, well, the opposite of those is joy, freedom, belief in yourself, belief in your purpose, and basically the bliss of being who you are. You managed to do this even without physical reality reflecting it. So many times it reflected the opposite, and you still believed, you still didn't allow it to defeat you, to alter you in the most negative senses possible. So you actually became even purer, even more innocent, even more true to who it is that you are. You truly embodied your spirit. So this means that this is exactly what you have to harvest now. The inner child is more alive, and it is more, how should I even express this? More present within us than ever before. And when we embody the inner child effortlessly, freely, we are simply just being it. It is no longer buried, it is no longer suffocated. Its innocence is no longer taken away by our inner adult, so to speak. So our conditioning, our education, who it is that we are forced to be in society and in so very many areas of our lives. So if this doesn't limit the inner child anymore, well, that means that we become true children of the divine. There is an authentic, honest, unbreakable connection between us. So we as children connected to our parent, the source. So that means that the divine support is more present than ever, because it no longer supports just a character, just an adult, but it supports itself. It supports its creation, its child. The frequency of innocence, the frequency of actually being a child. The most innocent and also adventurous part of yourself. And this act of holding this frequency amplifies everything that the divine intelligence can do for you personally in your life. Any parent is capable of doing everything for the well-being of his child, and this is perfectly true even in nature. So, parenthood and the parental instincts are deeply rooted in most living, breathing beings. And this kind of means that this support is perfectly natural. So simply said, expect the opposite of what you've been living until this present moment. That is where all of this is leading us both individually and also collectively. So basically the universe is advising us to stay as hopeful as we can, to believe in ourselves, in our innocence with all our hearts, but at the same time, be always in a state of readiness, in a state of greater awareness, to seize that instant, quick, spontaneous opportunity or breakthrough symbolized by the Fool. Whenever it appears in your life, it might also require you to be as brave and as bold as a child would be, as in to do certain things from your heart space, dare and have self-confidence to follow your feelings. And things will definitely turn out in the most favorable ways for you personally, regardless of what your logic, rationality, foresight, and even your ability to anticipate the future may say in this present moment. Well, thank you so much for listening. I do hope that you enjoyed this reading and you found it useful. And please remember, if you have any suggestions for what kind of reading or what kind of guidance you would like to receive these next 2 weeks, don't be shy and let me know in the comments below. I wish everyone a blessed and safe day. Until next time, bye for now.